All right, we're live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I am your host, Chris Kirkwood, Kirk D's, back here with my two boys for week 6. The Canada's #1 DFS player, toe tagging Tambo, Tyler Tamboline, and then not to be outshined by Brett Hartfiel, Killaby 2482. And we are back. How did last week go? I ran like God to fade some. I got the injuries I needed. The guys that get down that saved my week. But I had a slightly profitable week. Actually had a monster. No, I wasn't going to have a monster showdown slate until that last stupid Jonnu Smith touchdown where they should have been running the ball. Cost me an extra 10 grand. I had a good slate, but that I had a good week overall. How'd you guys do? I'm fired up today.
Man, it was a bad week for me, but like I had a few spots, a few tournament teams. We did harp quite a bit on the Raiders keeping it close versus Kansas City, and they not only kept it close, but they ended up winning that game. So I feel like those stacks did really well for me.
Dude, that game was the nuts at halftime. I was like, I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be rich, and then Mahomes did absolutely nothing. And
outside of that Kelsey touchdown,
and Tyreek ran so bad with that the holding call on his like 45-yard bomb touchdown, great catch right off the bat. And then whatever, he should have scored like 40 fantasy points.
But we all I think we were talking about that game so much last week that we ended up bringing up Ruggs like being a great bring back in that. I had mainly Jacobson and Waller. I know Tambo. Me and you had a very similar lineup in the 300 on DK with that stack. How'd you end up this past week?
It wasn't bad actually. I forgot leading in. I was thinking I knew it was like a mediocre week, but then I forgot the hand-bombed scoring stats over on FanDuel actually updated, and I had a pretty good run over there. So FanDuel was nice, made up for the week. Did pretty good overall. Didn't play much showdown since then. I know some of the tilt that you were talking about earlier, Kirkwood, as far as those slates went, but the Tyreek Hill thing sucked. That was pretty much the make or break in my best lineup on DraftKings, where I thought it was like a 60-yard touchdown. All I know is it was right out of the gate.
Yeah,
I barely could turn the TV on, and I'm already getting tweet notifications like, "What a shitty call! What a terrible!"
And it was an amazing catch. It was like such a.
And then
great
I see
catch.
the replay. Yeah.
What about all the Giants touchdowns that were brought back? The Evan Engram and the Slayton one.
Slayton was should have been he was the nuts already, but he should have been like the absolute nuts, with that ridiculous pick call.
That Evan Engram one hurt me too.
Ban officials, ban refs, ban all these fucks who fuck us.
Robot everything.
Jeez.
All right. Getting sick of this. Although I ran pure with Dalvin Cook going down and then Keenan Allen going down. So never wish injury on anyone. It's for a long term, but for like one game when I need it, it was nice. All right, we're back week 6. We don't have to talk about trimming player pools and trimming balls with Manscaped. We have no promos here this week, so
next week, baby.
Next week, get ready. I'm prepping for that one.
I hear it's on the horizon. It's coming, but we've got I think we've got 11 games.
We are at 11 games as of now.
Yeah, as of now. So we've got COVID popping up like every hour on the hour, it seemed like, for the last 2 days. We started off with the Falcons. So obviously that's a emphasis of concern immediately because that's a chalky – first of all, any game with the Falcons is going to be chalk. Their defenses were awful. And then there so happens to have Alexander Madison, who is, with Dalvin Cook already announced out this week. It's going to be a pretty important play for a lot of people, depending on the site too as well. Then we've got the Colts had some positives ring up, but they were false positives. We found out later, so that's back on. Eagles had a pop up with concern, and of course my Patriots had their center now come up with positive, and it seems like that game is forging ahead, but that's because, they've already rescheduled this game, this Pats Broncos game. And so it's got real schedule implications if they do have to put this one off any further. But we'll see. If more tests start popping off tomorrow, then could get real dicey. So yeah, everybody keep an eye on that. Everyone knows, I'm sure, to keep an eye on that anyways, but like things can change in a heartbeat. So we're going to go with what we got. It is Friday, early Friday evening. So we're pretty up on news here. And what do we got for games here? So we've got some monster totals, pretty much monster. So, but like with like, so obviously I already mentioned the Falcons at the Vikings, 54-point total, actually opened as a 56.5-point total. Julio is supposed to be off the injury report and good to go. We've got some, with Cook out, that's a major usage piece out for the Vikings. And then we've got some monster totals on some games that you wouldn't think, or at least Detroit Lions, Jaguars is a monster total of 54. And that's like that classic NBA of the two worst teams, like playing and like you just getting tons of fantasy production. That's what it feels like here. But, the Jaguars and the Lions defenses are both atrocious, have just leaked production in all facets. So that game's going to be important. Then the Texans-Titans, 53-point total. That's certainly up there. Some games that kind of shocked me from the side, like the Browns and the Steelers with a 51-point total. Like that's, you think Browns-Steelers when you're thinking like a defensive, slow-paced slog game. And all of a sudden, I see a 51-point total, and I'm starting to rethink some things here potentially because that could be overlooked plays. And the Green Bay game. How did I forget the 425 hammer? The Packers 1-point favorite going to Tampa. That game has a 55-point total, opened at 51.5, but teams are getting healthier. So Devontae Adams is back. Also, Chris Godwin is back. Mike Evans looks like he's good to go. So it should be full strength. Pretty much Bucs offense with Leonard Fournette also coming in now, which kind of takes away the shine from Ronald Jones. Maybe it just lowers the ownership from him, and he's a good play, but we'll talk about that. But anyways, that could certainly be a shootout, and Tampa Bay is missing a huge rush stuffer in that game. Their 350-pound tackle, Vita Vega. So, man, that game, I'm getting more excited about that game as I've been, diving into stuff here. But, man, other than that, I don't even know what else we've got. We've got just a bunch of other games that we'll touch on for plays. But how's the slate shaping up for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an ugly slate overall. And, COVID is really testing some of the better games with us. So hopefully we're able to, hold on to this 11-game slate. I guess just from a macro point of view, there's 9 games going at 1:00 Eastern and then only 2 later games, right? So there's not going to be a lot of flex decisions that you make. But I wouldn't mind having, some players in that Packer Buccaneer game, which would be the nightcap, or the Jets Dolphins games just for that factor alone. But yeah,
I just want to say that Twitter was even worse than the run when as Run Pure Sports launched with FTN Network. Twitter was unbearable for that little stretch. It was even worse now with this FanDuel scoring situation that everybody complaining. Just like, I mean, I don't know which is worse, the Run Pure screenshots or the complaining about FanDuel.
The FanDuel one was pretty funny in the beginning, and then it was just like, okay, when is FanDuel going to get their crap together? But yeah, when the contest started coming in, at least that was nice to see.
I think they're still literally doing it by hand. Like everything's a day behind, and I don't know what's going on exactly.
Baseball came in late too, right?
I was thinking why NASCAR took the longest because they had to go figure out all the lap differentials and stuff. It took like 2 days. I was like, yeah, they're definitely doing it by hand.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. So
I like the slate. I'm going to take it up where Brett left us off, but I think, it's an ugly one. It could be. I hope that, all the games play just because there's some – I don't know, the way it shapes up right now with our ownership projections, I kind of really don't like much of the chalk. Some of it I'm okay with. We'll get through it when we talk about different positions. But, I really don't want to see that Minnesota-Atlanta game get canceled and all these Alexander Madison owners get bailed out, because I think that at least on DraftKings, I know he's much cheaper on other sites like Yahoo. I think lock him in $14, you can put him in. But as far as 7,200 over on this side, I know the matchup is great, but you know what, to be honest, we talked about this a few shows ago, but sort of since the restart and with no preseason, I found that like matchup in as far as running backs go, it hasn't seemed to matter as much. Like there hasn't been like, oh, this team's the ultimate run stuffer, you can't play a guy against them. It feels like these Ds are all getting lit up in one way or the other, and some might even surprise you with some of these run funnels and pass funnel defenses that you can just see these options. So I like a lot of these running backs that have like no ownership. That's just me.
Yeah, and that's something that we could also talk about too, is just, I mean, if you're using a running back in your flex, it hasn't been hitting, you know, like all the chalk running backs have really been dying. You should be looking at like the ceiling plays for wide receivers. I mean, that's what's been hitting, obviously. And I don't know, like, I just feel like feel very similar this week. Like, you know, having a wide receiver in a flex, really just trying to get as many ceiling plays in there as possible with the running back chalk not hitting. I still don't feel great about running backs, especially on DraftKings also this week.
I'm not abandoning running backs in the flex position. I think it'll even out. I mean, the wide receivers always have that extra layer of like monster upside with the PPR targets.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think they've just run well. And like you said, the chalk's busted, but I'm not going to.
Right. I would say like in a tournament, like over 1,000 person tournament, you should be really trying to grab ceiling plays. But yeah, like in a 200 to 600 person tournament, yeah, throw in a running back in the flex. I don't mind that. But
yeah, I've heard some stuff on this. The only thing I'm going to say right quick is that I think it also it's cyclical to Kirkwood's point. It's going to, there's always variance going to come around. I know what you're saying, Brett, because the larger field, if you're already looking at people putting that many guys in their lineup, the builds are already built around 3 running backs. I get it. So that would be one way to be contrarian right out of the gate. But I think it's also in the lineup build that you're putting together. And we're talking about tournaments here all the time. So I think if you're, you know, what's happening, and the reason you're seeing wide receivers in the flex is because game stacks are so much more prevalent and smashing, and you throw your 5th man into the game stack, it's going to be a wide receiver, and there's only 3 slots. So there you go. That's what causes that in order for you to have that build, is to get it done that way. So I don't hate the idea. I'm just saying I think you still can be careful based on the types of lineups that you're building.
Yeah, I mean, I've studied that too. I've read a lot of the articles. I know like Britt Devines does his piece, and a lot of people have talked about this. I came up with my own conclusion. I was like, I'm not abandoning running back in the flex. Like because I've thought about, like, I abandon tight ends in the flex most weeks, depending on the week, but like nothing kills your lineups worse than like jamming in like crap tight ends into that flex spot, doubling up on tight ends. So that's something I've abandoned. Although some weeks you can't because they're the best plays. But anyways, that's a show for Blender, right? We're here to talk about the plays. Let's start it off at the running back position, which we normally do. Let's get it right out of the way and start off with Alexander Madison. He is taking over for Dalvin Cook. I mean, this was like the situation, and like Alexander Madison, I'm sure we all agree that like is extremely talented and is like as close to a fill-in as you can get to Dalvin Cook. Maybe he's lacks that explosiveness in the pass game, or at least in the past, but that's been mainly because of his pass blocking abilities. He's produced anytime he's been giving a reception. Like he's caught most of them. I think he's like 19 of 23 he's caught 19 of his 23 targets and in total. And I mean, this guy's pretty like from a yards per carry standpoint, he's like right neck and neck with Dalvin Cook. Like he's produced anytime he's been given the opportunity. He stepped right in. They kind of abandoned it at first, and their offense looked putrid. But then once they started to go right back to him, like against Seattle, like because they started, Dalvin Cook was having a great game, and then all of a sudden he goes down, and then their offense just fell apart. But once they got him established, he ended up with 20 carries, 112 yards. 3 receptions, 24 yards. He looked awesome. So I expect him to be this all systems go with this offense. I think he's awesome. Like, so I have no problem paying 7,200 for him in this spot, because to me, I'm essentially looking at it as it's Dalvin Cook, and it's a matchup with the Falcons, who are just a terrible defense. And yes, they're pretty good against the rush, or at least their numbers state that, but they're always so bad against the running back pass. I mean, it's just a defense, their scheme. It's just something we've always targeted. These running backs just get tons of PPR points against them through the passing game. And, also it's just a lot of teams have been just passing more against them because their defense is so bad. But like, this is still a run first offense in Minnesota, and I expect him to have a pretty good day on the ground and get a bunch of targets. And I expect him his touchdown equity to be extremely high in this game too. So I got no problem playing him. I like him a lot. We'll hear what you guys say in a second. The other options like right around him would be Derrick Henry, who kind of underperformed against Buffalo, but is certainly in play. It's 7,300, but I'm sure you guys was probably going to say that you don't, it's tough to play Henry because he doesn't get the passing game work, but I'll be interested to hear what you say there. I really like James Robinson. Surprise, surprise. I probably tout him every week, I think, but I love him in this spot this week. And then there's like Kareem Hunt probably fits the bill as one of those really good backs in a good situation in a bad matchup that will probably go overlooked, that I know Tambo was alluding to. But those are that's kind of the range to start. So what are you thinking, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, at RG, we currently have Madison at 37% owned. And, it was an in-game injury, and Madison came in and looked great, right? Now they have a full week to prepare for Atlanta. I don't know, man. Like, I can see Boone siphoning away some touches or third down plays. So I'm not as bullish on that play, especially at 37% ownership. Like, that's a really high percent, I think, for a guy that, like Tambo said, he's 7,200 on DraftKings. Yeah, on Yahoo, where he's $14, he should be super highly owned. On FanDuel, where I think he's 7K on FanDuel. Yeah, he's going to be highly owned there for sure. But in a spot where he's the highest owned guy on the slate, and I need to pick apart something, I'm just worried about his current role, because I'm a believer in Boone. I've played him plenty in preseason football, and that guy looks good. And they have a full week to, game plan with Atlanta here. I see Boone, maybe being like a 70-30 with touches. So it's going to be tough to stomach to pay 7,200 for a guy that's, possibly not going to be getting like a 90% share of an offense, right? So that would be my only reservation, right? I mean, everything that you said is true.
You could say that about anybody. Like anybody that has like 3 live running backs on their team, you could say that about. But like,
yeah, but this is an unknown situation, right? So
I'm expecting Madison to get the full bell cow treatment is the way I'm approaching it. So we just have difference of opinion,
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Tambo, what do you think about the Viking backfield here?
I'm off it. Like, I don't care. I just not going to play that at 37% on DraftKings when there's Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Mike Davis, Kareem Hunt, James Robinson. Like, listen to all those names. We know what they are. They're that price for a reason. I know it's the best matchup. It could be way bad. I'm not going to do it just because of ownership, but the thought process is that, on every site he's going to be popular. He makes a lot of sense on FanDuel for the touchdown upside. I think he at least bangs one in. I just don't know about the overall. And, if he does get a lot, if you look back, like the last year and a half, he doesn't get a lot of opportunity, but even when he has, it's not like he's done a lot with it. So, there's games that he had 14 and 13 attempts and didn't do much at all. So it's not that he can't, and the matchup is so good. I get it, but Derrick Henry's actually one of my favorite tournament plays of the week for that exact reason. He's not getting much less ownership. It's like 10 or 12% less as of right now, but a couple things. It's more twofold. One, it's a, pivot at the running back position for the same, for $100 more, you get Derrick Henry. I still like that matchup. We've talked about it on here the last few weeks. It hasn't been great, but we talked about week 1 with Kansas City against Houston. That's now long gone. We're on to week 6 here. but there's been other teams that have had some upside against them or maybe some bad luck, but they still did quite a bit. And I think Derrick Henry's just a different kind of back. I don't really care that he's not getting the passing upside. And then from a leverage position, when we get to wide receiver later, guys are on, relates to quarterback, Tannehill, A.J. Brown. There's all those guys in the mix. Jonnu after last week that people are going to want to go to these guys. And I think you can leverage that spot. So it's kind of like a perfect storm of a pivot at the position, a leverage for the construction, and the ownership's still only 20%. I say only because, there's still 8 out of 10 lineups don't got him. So I'm fine with that. And then I'm even good on James Conner. I think with Deontay Johnson out, we've mentioned a couple of the injuries off the top, and we're going to mention more as we go throughout. I think they just want to get back to that and just keep pounding it. And I think he's been playing pretty good ball this year. If you look so far, 15, 18, 16 attempts, the games he's played, he's got some receptions, yardage there. His DK scores have been decent. So I don't mind going back to him as well, just in that same zone. And like I said, there's even other names around him. So I just don't think I have to go way overweight on a guy like Madison just because he's going to be a smash spot and no backup. I think it's like you said, Boone is actually a real thing and didn't look bad a couple runs last week for like 20 yards. So small sample, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you with Derrick Henry. It's a very unique situation with Derrick Henry on a short week. They played on Tuesday night. So a lot of people are going to bring up that, hey, Jeremy McNichols was used quite a bit in that game. I think it was just to stay fresh for this upcoming weekend. I mean, they realize they're on a short week. And this is a spot, like you said, Houston's been terrible versus the run most weeks. So I don't know. I think they rely quite a bit on Derrick Henry for their offense this week. Kirkwood, where are you with the Derrick Henry play?
I'm out on him.
Just not pass catching.
I got too many other guys. I love Madison personally, so I think he smashes. So I'll probably I hope that people talk him down and his ownership gets down. That's the way I'm thinking in my head because I know he's going to be like a lock on FanDuel and Yahoo.
FanDuel and Yahoo is everywhere, like 80% in cash
cheap.
and things like
he's
that.
So cheap, so damn cheap. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I think he's going to be extremely popular, but I can see a lot of people by the end of the week, getting him out of favor by game time, and just because everyone's going to be stacking this passing.
That's
game,
the thing.
Right?
It's going to be a chalky.
So it's gonna lead to less ownership if you have your rules set up where if you don't utilize him in your stacks. Although a lot of people don't even know how to take the running back out of the equation. So I'm sure there'll be just extra added pieces in stacks, but I think that will take away some of his ownership because of the passing games are going to be so heavily concentrated on. And I think it's his ownership is just going to trend down as we get closer to game time. So that
one last thing on him, and I think you're right there, but just to chime in again is that, last week he smashed it realistically, 20 on the ground to 112 yards. The only thing he really didn't get is a touchdown, which let's add that because I think we can this week. And then what? You give him 26, 27 points. There's going to be guys that smash that number, I think. It's still a big enough slate. As long as it stays at 11 games, at 7,200, that's not as ideal when you got guys we'll have Mixon a couple weeks ago with 46 for cheaper. There's so many guys down here that we haven't even talked about yet we're about to get into that can smash us. I think Madison's, high dollar single entry. You want the safety and the upside, cash games, all those other sites where it's touchdown dependent or Yahoo extremely cheap, lock them in. But in large field, I don't know. You can do what you want. I just think there's other guys that are going to bust his ceiling open. And I think last week was a really good game for him. And you add a touchdown, it's 26-27. That's what I think we see this week. So if that's enough for you, pop it in. I think there's guys that will beat that and plenty across the board.
What I'm saying is this guy is Dalvin Cook. That's what I'm saying. And so he's so damn good. And their yards per carry over time is the exact same. And so I'm expecting him to just slot right in. So that's the way I'm playing it. So we've planted our flags. We bet against each other on this one. It's me.
Yeah, we have to. I've never seen him be Dalvin Cook. Where are you seeing a game where he has high yards per carry and being?
It's going to be this week. It's going to be this weekend when
he's in history
fully had the opportunity.
All right.
This is it. It's going down. So this is me versus you two. and I'll probably lose, but whatever.
By the way, I remember rostering a lot of Mike Boone last year in December, and I was just looking at his role last year, and he had a 17 carry, 148 yard touchdown, and then 2 catches for 12-yard performance. So, I mean, the guy can still work, the backup to Madison. So
he got 5 snaps last game.
I know, but that was a mid-game injury. And he's not
like a real pass catching back. So it's like that would be Amir Abdullah if they wanted to go there, which I don't think they're going to want to do. So I'm just trying
to poke holes into how the play doesn't work out, right?
I think there's a lot of ways it doesn't get there. We're spending a lot of time on it, but I think you're right, and that's really what it comes down to. And I just think the bigger thing is the price and the opportunity around him. It's if he was 5,500 or 68, even 6,500, you go down to that range. There's a couple plays there, but he'd be way more in play than when you go up here. I think these other plays we didn't even talk about. Aaron Jones, and what's that, like a 50-something point total, and it's definitely a possibility for him to bang 2 or 3 in. And it ends up being all the Green Bay on the ground game. James Conner, I already mentioned. Mike Davis against Chicago. What about that play at 7,000?
Yeah, he's a great play. It's going to be
he's averaging 23, 22, 30 is his last 3 games. I just told you I think that's what Madison's going to get as a ceiling. So I think that's
but I disagree. He's
going to get 40 or something. It's just not going to happen. That's just not happening.
We're going to see.
Okay.
So let's talk about Mike Davis. So Mike Davis is a great play. Because Chicago has certainly been gashed by the run. They actually have been gashed in explosive run plays. They're kind of that, teams aren't successful passing against them. So this is going to be a spot where, he's going to step right in and just, get his monster workload from all in the passing game, from all angles. And just the fact that it's the path of least resistance against this team, that they're going to have to run Mike Davis. So, I mean, his usage is crazy. So it is CMC level type stuff that we're seeing. So like, you just have to like him. So I can't poke any hole in him whatsoever. I think he's a really strong play.
I would just say again with him to look at Reggie Bonifant if he is out again this week, because we got almost 95% of CMC last week because there was no Reggie Bonifant. But if he is active, Bonifant can definitely siphon away, right? So he did 2 weeks ago with 10 carries and 2 catches. So
but that was when he was banged up. When Davis got hurt in that game, and was banged up, and then he siphoned off that touchdown. So I think it's like they want to use Davis, and they will. You get the max out of Davis, and then Bonifant will be there. It's the way that I look at that. But anyway, he's a great play. Let's talk about my boy James Robinson. So this guy's getting elite level usage. Only Derrick Henry, CMC when he's played, Mixon, Zeke, Josh Jacobs have a higher share of team carries. I mean, this guy is the bell cow running back. He's coming off of his worst game of the season, where he rushed 13 times for 48 yards and no touchdowns against the Texans. Did, however, see the most targets he's seen so far this season with 7, since the Jags were pretty much trailing throughout. And the game was really slow in the beginning. But nonetheless, the usage is there. And now he rolls into a home matchup against the 31st ranked DVOA run defense, who can't stop anybody. The Detroit Lions, who are allowing 5.57 yards per carry, 25th in yards before contact allowed per rush. It's like anywhere I go to try to find something, this guy just screams great play coming off of a bad game where people aren't going to want to play him as much, with a price that's probably too high on DraftKings. But we saw the upside that this guy possesses. And I think, in the right game script, I mean, he could go absolutely bananas, especially if, he did go bananas against Miami. We're forgetting that, 3 weeks ago, and then and had a monster game against Tennessee. I think we should be expecting that again this week. And DJ Shark is probably not going to play. And so, yes, Chenault is going to be popular, but like it would make more sense to give him a little bit of a usage increase as well. So like I can't find anything wrong with him personally. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on James Robinson. I like him a lot this week. Matchup, obviously great. Usage, awesome. Yeah, and, passing wise, I think people are going to struggle, outside of maybe Chenault playing anybody on their offensive side just because of how much Gardner Minshew kind of spreads the ball around. So, yeah, I mean, Detroit stacks are kind of an easy double stack for me this week. And then bringing it back with the Chenault and James Robinson is going to be really popular. I like James Robinson just by himself too in lineups, so doesn't need to be in game stacks. Yeah, I like him a lot, and I think you're right at this price point at 6,800. A lot of people are going to want to go up a little bit to the Mike Davises, the Madisons, the Derrick Henrys instead of being down to James Robinson. So yeah, I like that play overall.
Yeah, he's still showing up with decent ownership, and I think for good reason, because Mike Davis is still showing up, like you were saying, with good ownership at 25%. Robinson's the way to go, right? If you drop down, I still like Mike Davis, but like you said, there's a player, and you said maybe too expensive. That's maybe how people view it. Maybe that's why the ownership's that way. Kirkwood, I love it, and it's just a good bounce back spot. It's the usage is there for 6,800. I actually think it's more fair for a guy that we've seen can have the upside, and plus the other thing, we didn't even talk about this yet, but when we get to quarterbacks, Stafford and Minshew are going to be mentioned, and all their pass catchers. And then Brett just sort of gave it away. The good way to do it, I think, is to, run a Stafford, pick a guy between Golladay and Jones, maybe a Hawkinson or someone in there, and then run it back with James Robinson. So I like that play a lot. And I think in this range, one guy, what odds will you give me that Jonathan Taylor beats Madison DK points this week?
I like Jonathan Taylor a lot too.
Okay. I like that one more. I think he does something this week. I think this is the spot. Indy's a team that can get it done, and he's been disappointing people as well. And if you look at the spot here, since he's got some linebackers out, got to wait on the Wilkins news. But if he's out, especially, it just adds to it even more. And at 6,400, it feels like people aren't going back. What's the thoughts you've got over there? The ownership shows around 13%. So some are in, some are out. It's creeping around that range.
Yeah, I'm in on him. I think I like him every week. So, and he's just like getting out of favor because, his usage has gone down a little bit and his production has certainly gone down. But the monster game is going to be coming at some point. He still runs behind this elite offensive line. Like you said, Cincy's defense is banged up. And, I don't know if Wilkins is going to miss or how much that matters or how much Nyheim Hines, but like it just takes the right game script for him to have a monster day. And like that very well could be this week with them at home against Cincinnati. So it's a great spot. Like all he's got to do is just find the end zone a couple times. The problem is Phillip Rivers sucks. Doesn't he? Isn't he just awful?
Well, yeah, and then Anthony Costanzo was out last week, but he's fully participated in practice this past week. So the left tackle that they brought in, man, he was causing a lot of issues. Like he could not block. So I think that is going to be good overall for this offense.
Other guys. I talk about it every week, but I got to bring up my boy David Montgomery facing Carolina. Like this is finally the spot. I mean, I was like reaching last week, right? And he had a good game, 18.9 fantasy points. But like I talked about, like the usage increase and the fact that there's passing game increase without Tariq Cohen anymore, and he is a bell cow. And now it was like an extremely tough matchup, right, against Tampa Bay. And so, yes, they limit their game plan had to limit a bunch of rushes from him, but he got 10 rushes, 29 yards, but he got 8 targets, 7 receptions, 30 yards, did get a rushing touchdown, put up 19 fantasy points, 18.9. Now is in a much different game environment in Carolina where he's 5,800. So just a tiny increase, but like the matchup is way, way better. and like that usage. So now we should expect a ton more of rushing attempts. You know, they're really only other runner that they use is the kind of the gimmick Cordero Patterson, who's going to get some rushes, and they're going to do that. But he's not gonna split snaps with this guy or anything like that. That's just not going to happen. And he's just getting that passing game work. So like, he's not electric, but he's certainly good in my opinion. And it just matters if he finds that end zone, which he did against this Tampa Bay D last week, who's phenomenal. So now it's Carolina, and he's 5,800. He's my favorite, like cheapish play.
There's not much to poke holes on that play. Just the only thing I can say again is ownership is so high for him at 26.2. But yeah, I think he earns it. I mean, this Carolina defense brought Todd Gurley back to life. I couldn't believe like how many yards he was getting every single carry. He had 14 for 121 and a touch. Even caught 4 balls for 29 yards. So the only running back that has kind of failed against the Panthers was Chase Edmonds. So everybody else has kind of gotten really off versus D. So yeah, great spot. Only thing that I can break down is just ownership level being that high. So my pivot there would be like a Myles Gaskin, who I think is just in another great spot.
That's the play. And it's I mean, that's like the easiest the defense running back correlation play of the week is the Myles Gaskin Miami Dolphins defense against the Jets.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins defense though is pretty expensive. I guess not on DraftKings they're 2,900. Yeah, on other sites they're a little bit more, but yep.
So really, you know, Howard was like a DNP, a healthy scratch last week. I'm assuming that would be the case again. Breida is not a big workload guy. So it's like Gaskin is like getting elite usage. And it's the Jets. The Jets suck. So yes, they're better against the run than a pass, at least from a talent standpoint, but like any team can have a good game wherever they want against this Jets team. I just say that every week, and that's just the case. So like if the Jets score, then like the Fitzy passing game is going to go bananas, you know, against this horrendous secondary. But if the Jets don't score much, which, you know, it's your boy at quarterback, Flacco, Tambo. I'm sure you're a big Flacco fan, right?
I'm on the new age this week. We'll get to it. I'm off the old school elite and onto the new school elite in Lamar Jackson, who I'm never on. So we're going to segue there in a second. But yeah, you're right.
Dude, Dolphins are a 10-point favorite. That is ridiculous for the Jets.
And it's perfect game script for him, for Gaskin. Yeah, he's a good play. Play him. Who else? Is there anybody else that we missed? Ronald Jones is kind of interesting to me. It's like based on the fact that like the Green Bay can certainly give it up to running backs. It's a monster total. He's looked good. It's just like what's Fournette like? Are we sure that Leonard Fournette is going to impact him much coming back? I'm not. I don't know. I don't have a strong take either. But I think like there's a good chance that Fournette might not get much of a workload, and it may be like that Ronald Jones has earned a high workload, and therefore is another good play that's going to get like extremely low ownership because everyone's going to be not going to want to go there because the passing games are so sexy in this game, and then the fact that Fournette's coming back. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not as high on that. You know, I think it's like you said, only because Fournette. I did like him coming in, but with Fournette news, I think it's going to be, you know, a little bit riskier. The one guy we didn't mention there, I only really like 2 more guys, so I'll hit them right now. But I like Joe Mixon. You mentioned earlier about his usage. It just kept, you know, it's up and up and up. 24, 25 attempts the last couple of games. Bunch of targets in there. I think that they're going to be down. I think they'll still use him. They've been using that. He's electric when he gets the ball in his hands, and he's a guy that can break a slate, as we saw it a couple of weeks ago. It might surprise people, but, you know, in 3 of his last 9 games in the NFL, he's got over 30 DraftKings points, which might, you know, like I said, it's not someone you think of all the time, but you might forget from last year, you know, the big games that he can have. So I think that's good. I think, you know, Burrow has shown trust in him at last couple of games, especially, and he's put up some numbers for him. So at 6,200, I think he's an interesting play. And then the one guy, this one's probably not exciting for anybody else, but I liked him. I always had him on my fantasy teams across, other seasons when I barely play season long anymore. But Devontae Freeman was a keeper for me, and he actually looked pretty good last week. So I don't know if he's back, but in with the Giants, he was moving around, man. He was shaking a little bit and getting it done. He's way down at 4,900 against Washington. I'm not too worried about them. So I think that's another one that could be good. And you might even be able to get a little secondary stack going with, Scary Terry, or, if you want to play like Brett, you can use Logan Thomas again. Try him out across the other side.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
I had to get the jab in publicly too, not just off the air. So we'll get it in a couple times. What do you think about those plays, Brett?
Yeah, I'm down with a little Devontae Freeman exposure, but I think, we kind of got a unique situation here in Denver with Melvin Gordon's like DUI, speeding. And then he went home sick today. So, I mean, this could open up somewhat chalky Philip Lindsay at 4,300 at New England. So that'll kind of change my outlook on some of these cheaper guys, right? If we get Philip Lindsay being the main guy there. So I don't know. I don't exactly know how I'm going to attack that, but I don't mind having a little bit of Devontae Freeman. He's been utilized actually quite heavily the last few weeks, getting work also in the pass game. So that we like under 5K to be a little bit more unique by paying down here. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, 3 and 4. I mean, he's getting a little passing work too, like you said. So I think that's something to look at 4,900. But like you said, Philip Lindsay would open some things up if he gets in the game and he can sort of get it from all angles. So I wouldn't hate that too if Melvin Gordon's going to be out.
Yeah, and we definitely saw Philip Lindsay in this role last year where he was getting, 15 to 20 touches pretty consistently last year. So, with no Melvin, if Melvin Gordon is out, I think he becomes pretty chalky on the slate. So it's going to change. It's going to change a lot of ownership around for sure. Kirkwood, how do you see that if Melvin Gordon is out?
Yeah, I mean, he's there. He's usable. I think this Pat Stee is elite again. I think they're good against the pass and the run. I think they've got a great front. I think I would temper my expectations on success that he's going to have, but especially because there's not really that much of a real threat on Denver and in their passing game. So, but I think he'll get utilized on a bunch of dump offs and whatnot. And so for 4,300, he's so cheap that it's not going to matter. I would much rather get up to Montgomery if I could, but I mean, that's a significant price jump. But I think like in the matchup Montgomery has, I think the ceilings are way, way different between the two. But I think he's a good play. So I mean, he's going to be chalky if we get that news. So what was it? The DUI, and then got sent home for a non-COVID related illness, which sounds kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, sounds like maybe there's a fight going on or he's being punished or what. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, I think that's good. Like, we hit everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about all I got. You good there, Tambo?
Yeah, man. We can move on to
right.
Quarterback.
Quarterback it is. Guys that are going to be pretty popular starting the way. I mean, it's really just all about the game stacks, right? Like, so, but it's funny because no one's going to want to play Kirk Cousins, right? Like, you want to play this game stack, but you don't want to play Kirk Cousins. So therefore people are going to just end up playing Matt Ryan more. But I think they'll both get some ownership. I think Matthew Stafford is going to get some ownership now. I've heard a lot of talk about him. He's 6,300 just because of that monster total. I think Fitzpatrick is going to command some ownership, against one of his former teams for 5,900. Tannehill looked really solid. Ran it up his fantasy point production with that pass when they should have ran. God damn it, to Johnny Smith. Anyways, but he's got his weapons back, right? Like, so AJ Brown is back, right? He looked phenomenal. He was definitely hurt the first game. He didn't look right, didn't produce. Then, they sat him for a few weeks and he comes back. And now, granted, he had a great matchup because Tre'Davious White was out. So that was a boost for him in that game. But, like, he looked awesome. So he, this passing game is a little bit stronger. So that's a way you're going to have to figure out how you want to play that, whether you're going to go more on Derrick Henry or you're going to, you can certainly, leverage some of that Henry ownership with more Tannehill and AJ Brown stacks. But AJ Brown is going to be so chalky because he was so.
And I think that is
price.
Perfect leverage right there, Kirkwood. Is you got Jonnu Smith and AJ Brown that's going to be super chalky, and then I think Derrick Henry is going to be pretty low owned in comparison. So
I think they're all going to be chalky, but just not together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like Dak and the boys last week. Like I was saying earlier, remember Dak and Cooper, and everyone's thought it was going to be Cooper and Zeke. And we're like, well, it normally can't be all of them. So we're going to see how this shakes out. And typically it's the opposite of what you think, at least in a sense, because everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to leverage the Dak side. If everyone's going to take the pass game over there, we're going to get Zeke and wreck it that way. I've even said it myself. And then you go back and look and you learn on the Sunday show. I'm like, I can see what's going to happen here now. And it looks like that with Minnesota. I know you said no one wants to play him. I think it's a great spot to play Cousins. But now that, like you said, it's just sort of leaning that way all the way for, because of the Madison stuff, everyone wanting to move off, you might get what your wish, right? And get less guys on him in a sense and more moving over to this pass game, trying to go with it. I've already heard some takes on that across the industry.
And then the problem with that is that, like, Thielen is such a phenomenal play, right? Except for, like, the ownership is that, and then that's going to obviously gravitate ownership towards Cousins with the stacks. So it's like,
and how condensed they are over there. Like, they literally use the same guys.
And
it's going to be Jefferson, Thielen. That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little Irv Smith this week.
Yeah, they'll definitely be Irv Smith because he's so cheap.
Yep.
And tight end is such a wasteland that there's that narrative now and about, like, Troutman, you could still win GPPs with Troutman, because of your overall lineup build.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I couldn't either, man. I had 2 zeros that week, and I still made money, though. I had the Brandon Cooks 0 and the Troutman 0.
Oh, man. So screw Brandon Cooks, too, last week. Oh, that pissed me off.
You didn't get there?
All right. So Gardner Minshew. All right, well, let's talk about Deshaun, right? So, like, Deshaun should be popular, get some ownership for good reason. Now his price has gone up, but depending on, on Yahoo, he's dirt cheap still. Again, I don't know what he is on FanDuel, but anyways, they got him going last week, right? Like, he was a struggle that first half. He looked horrible in the beginning, and then they got things going. What did they do? They did a lot more play action, right? Like, which, they showed a willingness to open up the passing game, and they put a lot of play action. And he got 35 pass attempts, which is more than he threw against the Chiefs in a game which was, like, slower paced and where they were in control as opposed to being from behind. So that, they passed 35 attempts in a game that they didn't really need to. So, like, if they do fall behind, or if this game starts going, there's more of a ceiling there, certainly. And then Adoree Jackson still out. Looks like he's going to be out again for the Titans, who's their only really good option in the secondary, and he's the only one who has speed that could match with Will Fuller. So I'm expecting another big game or a good game out of Will Fuller. I think Deshaun Watson should do well. The thing that we did see is that, the Tennessee plays that zone defense that really did limit the rushing attempt. They like Josh Allen didn't even run against them, which was crazy to me. Like, he didn't even do it, but that's a part of that is their defensive scheme. So I wouldn't be so excited about Deshaun using his legs in this one, but I would be excited about him exploiting the matchups to Will Fuller. And now that this passing game is starting to look a little bit better with that really strong second half. So I think he's a good play. And then the other option would be Gardner Minshew, potentially, in that prospective shootout with bad teams. And then the guy I really love is Cam. I'm a homer, everyone knows. but I'm getting the sense that he's getting kind of overlooked. And, with the COVID layoff, they're 10-point home favorites against this Bronco D that's just been decimated. They've been gashed via the pass. So they rank 18th in DVOA versus the pass. So I'm expecting at least some efficiency in the passing game. But they're also missing Jarrell Casey and Von Miller, of their starting front, which is so Belichick could exploit them with design QB rushes in this game. So I'm expecting Newton to get back into the end zone like he did in those first two games, and, for some rushing touchdowns. And if things break right, then it could be Yahtzee with Cam. And he's easy to pair with, take your pick of N'Keal Harry, Demir Bird for really cheap. That really helps, fit in some other high-end guys in your lineup, or Edelman. So, I know the Patriots like to run a lot, but I think they'll be running a lot with Cam, assuming this game plays. But those are kind of like the guys that I like at this point. And then I'll let Tambo give me his thoughts on these guys, and then he can tell us all about Lamar.
I'll cut Brett off first for one time here, just because I think it's a good time to cut in. And I think it's interesting, like you said, that, the couple things. One is the ownership is looking like it's going to be pretty spaced out. But if you look at, who it's showing on right now, it's going to be guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Stafford, Ryan Tannehill. So if that excites you, I mean, it does. I like the stacks with them. I'm going to play 150 lineups at least. So I'm going to have them in my pool because it's the cheap quarterbacks, always been the thing. You get the high upside, build your stacks. But I do think the interesting point on this slate is that, no one's really on Lamar, Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. Just use those three at the top. They have a little bit, but not really enough to talk about. And with no Mahomes, no Russ, no Dak because the injury, RIP Dak, all these big-time quarterbacks that are off this slate that we're used to having. The issue is here, I think, is you could have Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, or Deshaun just blow away this quarterback position and score 5-10 more than anybody in range and really crush. And of those guys I mentioned that are chalk, you could absolutely see those guys failing and coming down with it and not putting up anything. And then that just changes the whole concept because you've got all these builds that are built around those quarterbacks and stacks, and you've got all these guys at the top just smashing. And it'll be the same at tight end this week when we get there, but you're missing all the other guys besides Mark Andrews. So that's why I like Lamar Jackson for once, and I'm not normally on him. I also think this could be an opportunity where he gets to running the ball. We haven't seen it. I don't know if it was because the injury. Nobody does last week where he was coming back off that slight knee injury, and they were just having him take a little bit less opportunities. Obviously, he's trended down 16, 9, 7, and 2. Not sure why, but this would be a spot where I think you could see it. The only thing I think Philly has is that a little bit in the front. They have nothing in the secondary, so he's either going to scramble on them and get loose, or he's going to be chucking bombs to Brown, whoever else, and Andrews. I think it's still pretty condensed there, though, with Andrews and Brown. So I like Lamar this week, but I also like Rodgers and Deshaun, who you mentioned at the top.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you. I mean, there's three quarterbacks to me that have a ceiling above everybody else, and that's Lamar, Deshaun Watson, and Cam Newton. And I know Kirkwood brought this up that I think a lot of people aren't talking about New England because of their bye week last week, their COVID bye week. So it feels pretty good to get me some Cam Newton and some Demir Bird. I was super impressed with Demir Bird the week before. Had a lot of air yards, good target share here. I don't know. I feel really good about that combo. And then, you can bring it back with obviously it matters with the running back situation, but I feel pretty confident in like Phil Lindsay, obviously, if Melvin Gordon's out, or, bringing it back with the rookie there, I think Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a unique stack, especially with everybody kind of going to a couple teams here with the Atlanta, Minnesota standing out and the Detroit, Jacksonville game standing out. So that's one of the stacks that I kind of made before we went on the show here. So, but yeah, I kind of looking at just ceilings of these quarterbacks. The three running quarterbacks really stick out the most. And I think what we just needed to take in to play last week was that, hey, Lamar Jackson sat out a practice, right, because of his knee. So that maybe it was a lot worse than what we initially thought. He has not sat out any practice this week. So, and he's been hearing it in the media, like, hey, you only ran it twice. What's going on? And he's been basically saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with the offense. You know, they won. I feel like he might come out and try and prove something here with his legs. So I don't know. I feel like a pretty good spot here to invest in Lamar, even though he's burned people for the last 5 weeks.
I'm going to touch on your Judy take.
Yeah.
I agree. Jonathan Jones is like the one vulnerable spot on the Patriots defense. They've been gashed in the slot, and Judy is, their slot guy. And also, with Drew Lock back, they're, more competent in the passing game. I know Siege is a big Drew Lock fan, so it's got to get you excited.
Oh boy!
Whenever you hear an analyst,
usually likes those backup quarterbacks, though.
So I like that. Lamar, I have a take on too. So here's the thing: I'm concerned, right? I played him last week again. I'm concerned because of the knee and just concerned. But I don't know how much of it has to do with his knee actually being injured, or it's just the way that these games have been game scripted out. His defense is too damn good. That's been the problem. That's
definitely an issue. Yeah.
They scored that pick six or whatever last week, and it just the game was over. And it's and Cincinnati could do nothing. So they didn't have to do anything but to just hand the ball off. In the first half, he was connecting with Marquise Brown. Was looking great. They just didn't have to do anything. So he didn't run. I think he had 3 rushing yards. It's is by far his career low. Only time he didn't do anything in the rushing game. But I don't think he had to. So if it happens again this week, and like Tambo alluded to, the pressure, Philly pressures, right? So it would make sense that he's going to have to get into some scramble situations and then take off, which he can do. So we'll see. I think we'll get a good feeling this week. But again, this could be another spot where Baltimore just does whatever they want against Philly, and Philly is just they're with so many injuries on that team, on the offensive and defensive end, who knows? Maybe we don't get the script, but I think it's there. And so I'm not discounting the rushing upside yet. And so I think that's a good way to leverage in GPPs because it still could very easily be there. We just haven't gotten the right game script for it.
Yeah. And if I was going to pair him up with a pass catcher, I would definitely side with Mark Andrews this week because Marquise Brown's going to get Jerry Slay shadow. So should give you a little bit more opportunity for Andrews here.
Yep.
And Andrews should be pretty low owned, I think, with how this slate is shaping up. So just looking at ownerships.
I don't know if he's going to, because he's so the problem with him is that he's going to get talked about because the matchup is really good. Philly's just been gashed by, George, all you got to do is look at George Kittle's game against that's going to skew.
I guess Kittle, Kelsey.
That's going to skew the numbers. So the numbers are going to look ridiculous against everyone. So everyone's going to tout that. And so, but for good reason. But then you also get the Darius Slay piece, right? That just makes sense. So Marquise Brown is their clear number 1 wide receiver who's probably going to be somewhat limited in this game. It's just a path of least resistance would be to Andrews. And
right.
So, and there's no good high upside tight ends, right? Zach Ertz looks dusty. Jonnu Smith, sure, but there's so many options in that game.
But people are still going with the cheap guys. That's what I think you're going there. But you got Irv Smith, Trey Burton, TJ Hawkinson for the Stafford stacks, Gesicki for the Fitzpatrick stacks. It's people are moving around, and that's what I was trying to say. When you go Lamar, the play is Andrews for sure. If you want to just take a shot and say, Slade might not be able to do it against a guy like Hollywood, try him out and run a triple stack. But you don't need a triple stack with Lamar. He could run 2 in, not even get it going on the ground, but just run 2 in at the line and hit Andrews for 1 or 2, and that's their game. And those two just crush. And again, that's going to set your lineup far apart from where everybody else is at. And we did talk a lot about some of these value running backs. So I actually think there's some builds out there that are nice for tournaments that most people won't be on that or not on it enough.
I like Andrews. I think you guys are definitely right. I think Mark Andrews is the stack with Lamar. And I just think that Andrews is going to get a little bit more ownership by the time Sunday comes, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Probably will get a little more, but it's funny. Yeah, it's like,
but I don't care.
12%.
I don't give it.
Who cares?
I don't give a shit about
it.
And if he breaks the slate, what's 12%?
You know what? Like there's
he crushes.
Ownership doesn't really matter. It's about correlating your lineups for the upside. And having like a low. All you need is one like semi low owned guy in a lineup to like make it unique with some good correlation. It's like it's overplayed. So I mean, there's like a million ways to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about this is gonna be the lowest we've gotten Lamar Jackson in ages, the lowest, and we've got an easy pairing with him. So I like it. All right, what else where are we at? We
still have quarterback,
wide receiver. Do we have any quarterback plays we didn't mention? Tom Brady?
No.
Noodle arm? My boy?
No.
I mean,
I actually don't have many more, to be honest.
His
weapons are back.
It's tough to grab a quarterback in that game, right? I mean, there's only 2 late games to invest in. But I mean, if you go Rodgers, Devontae Adams, or Rodgers, however you're going to stack that, I mean, Rodgers at 7,500, that just seems way less than optimal.
Dude, Brady is so pissed after last week, after for missing that, not knowing what down it is. And he's got Evans back. Evans is not injured and should be fine to play, but Godwin's back. I expect him to do well. I do like your Aaron Rodgers call too, because it's like.
But
I think it's Rodgers.
Price. Yeah. His price though at 7,500. I mean, for him to break a slate, he's going to have to put up he's going to have to put up a Lamar Jackson number. And can he do that without running the ball? I don't think so.
Well, he's got 2 34-point games out of DK points out of 4, and people have been paying more for Lamar or similar to hope for that and not getting it. So why not try it? Why not play?
And also, what's the real upside on all these guys that we're talking about? We're starting off the show. We're talking about Matt Stafford, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Tannehill. Like all these guys have such a wide range of outcome, right? Like they have like they could all bust or underwhelm certainly, and we don't have we're not talking about Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, all in these nut spots, right? So exactly. It could very well be the week to pay up for an Aaron Rodgers and have him throw for 400 yards passing or close to with his Devontae Adams or Tanyan or whoever the hell you want to throw with him. And, and the same thing could be for Brady, Mike Evans has a good, I forgot who's out, but the tallest guy in the secondary is out for
the Packers.
Yeah. King, I think it is.
Okay. Kevin King.
I think so. I can't remember. But anyways, and Brady certainly has connected with Godwin, but he's certainly developed a connection with Evans right now. And Godwin's going to steal some of that thunder away. So it could be a Brady Evans week because of exploiting that height differential. I don't know, but he's gonna be up. He's gonna want to he's gonna try to bury Aaron Rodgers. This is that. This game could be bananas, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean the game has been bet up hard. It opened at 51.5. It's at 55 right now. So and Tampa Bay has been stuffing the run since for the last year and a half. So if the Packers get off, they're probably gonna have to get off through the air or. I'd see Aaron Jones having more success by catching the ball here versus Tampa Bay than running the ball.
Yeah, they're really good against run. They are missing that guy that I mentioned, Vita Vega.
Sure.
Who's he's just a monster. He's just he just takes up so much space you can't get around him. But he's out. So Aaron Jones could have a little bit easier time. But this is Brady, and this is Brady back with his weapon against Tom Brady, on the road. So this is This game, I like it. I'm gonna sell myself on this game as we keep going. But anyways, the point remains is that this could be the week to pay up for like Rodgers or Lamar when people aren't doing it, and because these other guys don't have this monster upside, at least that I feel confident with, you know. So, anyways, wide receiver. Let's go over to there. We gave enough options. Adam Thielen is going to be the mega chalk. I think it's first of all, it's a concentrated passing tree, as we mentioned. It's also the fact that he's facing Atlanta, who's just Swiss cheese defense. But like the numbers are ridiculous. Thielen's ranked third in overall in air yards. He's 8th in targets. He's 1st in touchdowns. 1st in target percentage, and this is amongst all receivers this season. And this is from a run-first offense, right? Like, that's kind of amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now he gets this matchup, and he's not priced high enough, right? Like he's up to 7,300, but it's not high enough because of, like, especially with this game with the monster total too. And no Dalvin Cook. So, like, his usage should go even higher. So it's just he's got to be a top play. Devontae Adams back, should be healthy. You know, this guy was chirping on Twitter about, or didn't he get in trouble and he deleted his tweet about, like,
He never got in trouble. He took it down himself.
Yeah,
but he wanted to play.
So basically, essentially, that's saying that he was ready to play,
Mm-hmm.
and he felt like he could play. And so this guy's been extra rested at this point, so he should be guns blazing, ready to go. In this game, Kenny Golladay gets the Jacksonville matchup, who's just atrocious. I think they're 32nd, dead last in DVOA against the pass, Jacksonville. So, man, have to like that. AJ Brown. All right, I'll end it there and let you guys take it from there. But AJ Brown is 5,600. Because he was on the late game when they already put the pricing out before him coming back and saw that this guy was a monster again, that we thought he was. So, man, those are some good options to start with, but take it there and then start to fill in some of the other guys that you guys like. So, Brett, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I feel like this week is somewhat similar to last week, where I thought DeAndre Hopkins was easily the best tournament play last week, and he ended up getting there. He wasn't a great play, actually, until their last drive. I think he had like 65 yards and a touchdown on the last drive, but ended up getting there. I think this week, Devontae Adams is a phenomenal play. Just looking at ownership and what I expect him to do versus Tampa Bay. Kind of already said, like, it's going to be tough for me to stomach playing Aaron Rodgers at 7,500, but I think I can grab a lot of the offense production of Rodgers, at least through the air with Devontae. So I'm going to have quite a bit of Devontae this week. And then one other guy that I just want to bring up is Julio Jones. Obviously, really questionable this whole week. He practiced today. He's good to go at 6,700, and I don't know how many people will go there at Minnesota. I mean, it just feels like a great tournament play. Feeling everything that you said is true. Should be chalk. Galladay, way too cheap, 6,200. AJ Brown, way too cheap at 5,600. I think out of those three guys, I'm going to want to avoid AJ Brown the most. Just coming on a short week, somewhat of a injury history, and kind of was injured this week. Only practiced on Friday. Probably would avoid that the most. I know he gets a decently tough cornerback matchup too, to kind of just
Roby,
get a little bit off that ownership. But yeah, I mean, they're all great plays, mainly because of how cheap they are and then just how soft the landing spot is. Tambo, what are you seeing with the top tier wide receivers here?
Yeah, Adams is sort of the reason. It's kind of like the Lamar thing, right? You're not going to have all these guys in the same lineup. But what I mentioned with Lamar and Andrews, and you're just changing your construction versus the field, you're doing the same thing the minute you go pay that much for Rodgers and then pop in the 8K wide receiver. But again, it's Devontae Adams. I think Kirkwood brings up a good point. It's a little bit of narrative street, but I think it's pretty much facts. When guys are, get a little angry about stuff like that, especially an alpha top tier wide receiver one like Devontae Adams, it's like, come on, I'm tired of watching MVS and these guys go out and catch Bob Tonyan catch a bunch of balls. It's their teammate. Don't get me wrong. They're happy. but it's time to get back to, doing business here. And I like Devontae Adams for sure. Automatically changes your structure, essentially just the way it builds. I think he's an interesting play. I like Ridley on the other side of that game, that Atlanta-Minnesota game. Again, I've already heard people talking about the Wizard of Oz again. I never tried. Is Zacchaeus or whatever the heck his name is down there? I don't care.
I mean, he should, if he follows the Brandon Cooks pattern, then he goes off again.
No, but I think he was basically just the backup to Julio. I don't think
you know what? He was just a shit play, and
he just sucks. That's what I'm trying to say.
All these scouts who freaking made me feel like I had to play him in cash when I knew it was an awful play.
Yeah. No good.
Blame it on somebody, baby.
It's always somebody else. Like I felt like I had to play. I hated CEH last week. Thought it was such a fish play, and then I played him in cash because I felt like I had to because everyone else was playing him. God, I'm a fish for that kind of thinking.
And then I got another one up here though, just to keep it rolling, because Thielen, I think a perfect pivot and also a really nice secondary stack is to roll your Mike Davis, where you're already getting – here's what's happening. You're getting off of Madison, going to Mike Davis. Not on all your lineups, Kirkwood. You don't have to do this. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You can get off Madison and go to Mike Davis for like 10% less ownership. And then instead of going to Thielen, because everyone who the minute they go off Madison, they're going over to that Minnesota pass game, you go for the little secondary stack and pick up Allen Robinson right across. This guy is getting all the targets, man. 16 last week, 10 the week before that, 13 the week before that, 90, 101, 123 the last three. Foles was his worst game for him, but still, I like that little play back and forth. They don't have the biggest total on the board, but if you look at last week, there was I forget which game it was now, but it wasn't the highest total that ended up just going off. And you got this spot now, Chicago, Carolina. I feel like a few of these plays could be good. So I like Allen Robinson, and then you mentioned Fuller. I think it's just a great spot, and obviously with Watson, that's the play. What are you guys doing with Cooks? I know I'm going down the board now before we do that, but what's your thoughts now? Is he off again, on again, off again?
Yeah, I'm probably off of that. I like Will Fuller if I'm going to Houston this week, so probably staying away from there. I think the Pittsburgh wide receiver situation we probably need to talk through because we saw Chase Claypool, another stud rookie wide receiver, go off for 4 touchdowns, and I watched that game a ton, and it was like these plays were scripted for him. So interesting spot. We already have Deontay Johnson ruled out, right? So he's only at 5,200 last week. I think he was at 41. So 1,100 price increase, but for how much he got scripted, especially in the red zone area. I mean, this guy is a beast. Like his height, speed, everything about him is amazing. The only thing that he doesn't get here is the matchup. Juju will get a really nice soft landing spot against Cleveland. So you got Chase Claypool that should see a lot of Denzel Ward, which is Cleveland's stud corner here, and Juju will be running almost all of his routes inside. So you're going to get a ridiculously cheap amount of ownership on Juju, like probably less than 5% here. Can you do it at 6,600, Kirkwood?
Who?
Juju Smith?
Yeah, I can do it. I think people will say I'm a fish for it. People are saying Claypool is the guy, but I'm not ready to crown him yet. And I know Johnson's out, but I could do Juju, no problem. I don't think Juju's dust by any means. So I mean, it's not like Claypool's a secret anymore. You know what I mean? It's like
he is going to be chalky on DraftKings, I think, at 5,200.
Yeah, I mean, give me the Juju pivot all day. And whatever, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But another guy would be Justin Jefferson is the obvious one in the other game. At least he gets the deep ball targets. He's actually has more yardage, receiving yards than Thielen. He just doesn't have all those touchdowns and air yards and whatnot. But Jefferson's a good play. I don't know. What else you guys got?
I like the flip side. I'm still back to I don't know why I like this. It's just been coming around this week on the Carolina Chicago game for whatever reason. I think it's the Montgomery play that I'm so with you on that it just makes me think that if he does go to work, how much passing is going to have to go. I'm not super high on Teddy or anything. I didn't talk about that earlier, but I do think Robbie Anderson has shown just to be another solid wide receiver. He's getting a lot of work, man. 13. He's getting his most targets was actually last week. His highest yardage game was last week, highest DK scoring. So, I mean, he's coming around even more on top of the other good games that he's had. And that works. You know, I just talked about Mike Davis and Allen Robinson sort of double leveling up on, you know, what most people are going to do. But I think another one would be Robbie Anderson and Montgomery, right? One across from each other. Again, I don't love this game to necessarily game stack it, but I do like a couple pieces in it, and it can definitely be high scoring for fantasy. So I like that. And it's almost another little pivot there. If you don't want to play Kenny Golladay, you've also got, you know, Jefferson there, who you mentioned. One more guy I'll bring up is Jamison Crowder. Another guy just never going to get respect or ownership, but all he does is put up 20 DK points every week. He gets double-digit targets. No secret last week. Flacco liked him. It's more than enough to do well in your lineups.
That's why I got off him too. It's because
killing
of
me. Keeps killing me
He does it every week. It's every week.
Man. It's pissing me off.
And even going back to last year, it's like hard to find a game below 10 points dating back to, like, you know.
And he does it like all at the very end. Like
he does it the same way though. He's getting
he sneaks at it like he just little by little, and then all of a sudden then
it's 9 for 10. It's 9 for 10 for 80 yards,
like,
and if he gets a touchdown, it breaks it.
I'm buried because the guy.
Well, that's the thing that we never saw before though, is just like these big play abilities, like him taking it to the house, man. Like he just looks like he's super fast, or like he's tapped into an extra gear this year. I mean, super impressive.
I don't mind that. I think it's a good play for a guy most people won't be on.
Lavishka.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there. That's way down at 5,200. We're still in the sixes here. Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown, you mentioned earlier. I think those are good plays.
Devontae.
Yeah, I could go there. I like that with the Fitzpatrick stacks, I guess. Yeah. You could run Fitzpatrick, Parker, and we'll move to tight end in a second. Get Gesicki, and then put our boy that I just talked about, Crowder off of him. Yeah.
But somebody talk about Lavishka.
Go ahead, Brett.
Lavishka. What is it?
Tambo, that's your boy. I don't want to take your guy.
I just feel like I just talked too much. You go ahead. I love Chenault this week, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think the way Jacksonville has spread the ball out to the wide receivers, that Laviska does feel like he's the most safe. I mean, he's utilized also obviously in the run game. Love to see him to actually take a few snaps behind quarterback, but we haven't gotten that yet. But I mean, we still have Q tags, I believe. Let's see, what do we got?
He's got a hammy that like he wasn't practicing. He's been battling it for a couple weeks. That always gives me concern, is the hamstring. Whenever I hear that, I get scared.
Yeah, I do have this as my safest stack. And the way I want to get kind of a little crazy is by including Marvin Jones in this stack. But yeah, I think Galladay and Laviska with one of the quarterbacks, in this game is the safest way to go. But yeah, I don't know. I really like Marvin Jones also in this game. I don't know how much ownership he'll be getting at all with how cheap Galladay is. But we know Marvin Jones has a very similar ceiling as Galladay. So
I want to touch on two guys. You mentioned them already. Will Fuller, I love. There's just nobody without Adoree Jackson. There's no one that can keep up with him from a speed standpoint. He's going to get a bunch of Malcolm Butler, who every team targets. Now, Butler did well on Tuesday when they played this week. He got a lucky interception. The ball was just, should have been caught, and it just fell into his arms. He was still burned on the play. He's definitely burnable. So Will Fuller, I'm expecting a monster game from in this spot. And, how can we not at least talk about Darius Slayton again? It's 8 catches, 129 yards, didn't get the end zone, but had a monster 40-yard touchdown pass that was baloney that it was called off for a pick play, which was ridiculous. So he should have just had a monster game, but he's obviously the number one. He's on the Giants, and he plays with Daniel Jones, who's obviously not good. And he ranks 9th in targets, 7th in air yards amongst all receivers in league. He's dirt cheap on Yahoo, which is where I wrote him up today. So like definitely look for him over there. What's he on DraftKings?
DraftKings, he is 5,400.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. The matchup isn't the best from at least what we've seen so far, but Washington has like that really stout front seven, and they get pressure and whatnot. But so Jones could be a problem in this game, but they also don't have much talent in their secondary. They've kind of overperformed so far. So I wouldn't shy away from this matchup whatsoever. And, with Shepard out, he's just a target monster. I mean, he's gotten 7 targets in games without Shepard this season, and it looks like Shepard's not going to be back for this one. I mean, he's just a clear number one. You know what I mean?
We can say he's definitely wide receiver 1 just as much as Robbie Anderson is wide receiver 1 in Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, we probably should talk about this Travis Fulgham character. He looked good. You'll have Greg Ward getting manned up by Marlon Humphrey, but with these Baltimore stacks, who are we bringing it back with Philly? I mean,
dude, this is the Zacchaeus play, week 2. No, I mean I don't know. I granted I'm ill-informed. I'm not informed. So
everybody's ruled out for Philly, right? No Deshaun, no Elshon Jeffrey. We have Greg Ward, like in the slot against Marlon Humphrey. Not going to.
Some dude named Travis Fulgham goes off against the Ravens.
Yeah, and then Ertz, right? I mean, when do you go back? It's like Ertz is getting all these targets, just looks terrible, just falling down.
He can't do anything. Hey, he's no yards after catch. Like
outside of that one Miles Sanders big play,
his back is just dust. He's like Gronk. Like he's just like he's taken a beating for years and years.
Yeah. So are we just avoiding all of Philly then if you're not going to play this Fulgham?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to run. Do we have to run somebody back?
We don't have to.
Do we have to run someone back in this game?
This is the issue
I'm
with
gonna
Baltimore.
I'm gonna run Fulgham only because let me tell you, I think it's a disgusting play. But how do you not, if you're Philly, as bad as they've been, go back to him for at least the targets and try and get him 7 or 8 balls? Maybe he doesn't get 13, but he just did that for you. It's not a reward. It's we suck. We need to stick with something and try to make something work. We can't just keep doing the same thing. Let's try something out. And that's the only reason I would, consider it. And like I said, when you're running, you got that expensive Lamar Andrews for those 2 positions, the highest priced guy at either position. Why not run back the $4,400 cheaper guy? So I will say that. And then one quick point earlier on LaVisca is I also love one more thing you didn't mention, same price as Chase Claypool, who is going to get probably a solid amount of ownership. So I like that factor as well. Not that you can't play them both. I really do like that as a little pivot there.
Right. But this is also an issue with Lamar Jackson, right? With how bad Philly is offensively speaking. How are they going to put up points to make Lamar play, 2 halves of football here? I just feel like if they want, they can rest his knee again. They don't really they don't need to force all these runs out of him. So
I mean, that's possible, but like crazy things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like games go opposite than what we expect, and if that's the case, then
well, yeah, just the other reason. So I already thought about that earlier. We didn't bring up the question or talk about it, but like last year, 45-6, 41-7, 49-13. Ravens smash 3 weeks in a row. He goes for almost 35 a week, every week.
Right. So they had no issue doing it last year.
He causes it. And what I was trying to say, my point earlier, of how he could just dust the slate away with all these quarterbacks that are high ownership and just cheap dudes that we love their spot. They should have upside. They could have upside. But the bottom line is if they don't, let's say 2 out of 3 of them fail, that wouldn't be surprising. The other one has a piece of his stack that doesn't get there. And it's just Lamar and Andrews that causes the damage. It's not really going to kill you. And a guy like Fulgham, just using the same stack to bring it back this conversation, could just be, 8 catches this time for 60 yards and nothing else. It's still going to be 14 points on $4,100 or whatever he is. It's not going to kill you. And if you really get that extra 10 points at the other positions from Andrews and Lamar over what the field's doing, that could be huge. And there's no other competition, as we talked about up there.
Speaking of Lamar, I've got another Lamar Jackson, which leads me. He's a cornerback for the Jets who's terrible. He's been starting because of
Lamar
injuries.
Jackson.
Yeah, he's other Lamar Jackson, and he probably will be matching up with Preston Williams, who's actually been getting deep targets this season for Miami. He's kind of a boomer bust play, but he's cheap enough that like he had a good game last week, so he's not as sneaky. But like this is still like an absolute nut matchup for him against Lamar Jackson, and we could very easily see another big play to Preston Williams. So I think there's sneaky upside with him.
Yeah, the big thing too with Preston too is his high value opportunities really stand out to me. He's had 6 end zone targets, 37.5% for the team. Compare that to Devontae Parker with only 2. He's had 3 within the 5 to goal line, whereas Devontae's only had 1. So, I mean, they like using this guy definitely when they get close to scoring touchdowns, which is good.
Yeah, he's kind of sneaky. All right. Any other guys?
Brett mentioned Demir Bird earlier. I like that call.
Yes.
I wonder, I mean, I don't have many more guys. If you guys do, go ahead. But I just was going to say, what about James Washington? And we're going to segue to tight end anyway. And you got Ebron there. Like, don't both these guys have a shot besides Juju, who'd be sneakier up there? These guys are pretty cheap. And with no Deontay Johnson there, you got opportunity for them to sneak up. And you could easily see James Washington catch a bomb right off the hop, out of the gate. I could easily see that.
Yeah, I'm probably not there with the James Washington play. I do like going to Juju if I want to get my leverage in Pittsburgh. But I totally understand the play just because.
Just of note on him, four games out of like 9 last year that he was in, over 80 yards. That's pretty big. And I mean, it's not like anything else has changed. So I definitely think that'd be an interesting play for large field when most people are going to be on Claypool, and I just don't see that happening twice. They had design plays and stuff for him last week. It was interesting, and it's a Canadian guy. So if I'm the number one Canadian DFS player, this is the the number 1 Canadian 1 week 5 football player in the entire NFL maybe. But I like the Washington pivot. I'll just say that while we're on here, but it's not something I'm heavy on. I just think it'd be a good way to go, be a little bit interesting for those sort of mini stacks or something in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you with Demir Bird. I mean, he's played basically every single snap the last multiple weeks, leads the team in just routes run. I like this spot a ton for Demir Bird at 3,500 if you want to get a little bit different with your Patriot stacks. Something that I was kind of looking at too is just Cincinnati. Like, I feel like a lot of their wide receivers are cheap. I know it's versus the Colts. This is a tough matchup. But man, the price for T Higgins at 4,700, I feel like I want to get some exposure there, especially in my when I have Jonathan Taylor lineups. So I think I'd be running it back.
AJ Green's 3,900.
I know. Did you guys see that play where?
Is he really dust?
Did you see the play where there was an interception and then he did not run after? Yeah, I mean, it just looked like he was totally giving up on that.
He's pissed off,
Yeah.
But like, is he dust? I don't know. Is he?
Who scores more points, AJ Brown or Alexander Madison this week?
Oh, dude, Madison breaks the fucking slate.
Give AJ Green some love. I didn't even see the $3,900 price tag. That's how bad it's got. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane. I will definitely have some AJ Green for 3,900. Gotta try it.
Yeah.
He can't be that dust. Come on. He's bad, but this could be interesting, man. Really, it could.
I mean, I'd be more willing to go back to T.Y. Hilton. There's an interesting stat when Indianapolis is coming from behind. They've been actually looking T.Y. Hilton's way more often. So in a game that I guess they're supposed to control, it doesn't look good for T.Y., but like if you just reverse it, right? And I know Tambo like Joe Mixon, like if Cincinnati gets up here, I could see T.Y. being at home is something that we always liked. So
here's my problem. T.Y. is Rivers is even worse than I expected this season. So I just have no faith in Rivers anymore.
Yeah,
and
that arm.
I have more faith in Burrow, connecting with AJ Green potentially. I think they're both similar situations. I mean,
Okay.
but they're not, because T.Y. Hilton is the clear number one. It's just Rivers sucks.
We should probably talk about the 2-3K guys too. Jeff Smith getting all the targets last week. He is a speedster, so I mean, in a game with Jets and Miami stacks, I don't mind mixing them in there. Probably won't have many in the one-offs, but Darnell Mooney, I think this guy is getting consistent targets, definitely wide receiver 2 in this offense, and he's still 3K. Makes a lot of sense with your Chicago Carolina stacks. Any interest there?
I might have to go full game stack now. I saw that too. I wasn't even thinking of that. That's maybe that's why it's in my head that I kind of like this game quite a bit, because yeah, Mooney's been sort of the real deal. It's small sample as well, but I definitely would go to him or even Jeff Smith with Flacco there before I would go to Olamide Zaccheaus before I go back to that run. I do it the other way. So
I'm good with wide receivers after the 3K guys.
Tight end it is. Mark Andrews is the top end, high end play. Jonnu Smith is right there, 5,200, a little level below. Probably going to be the most owned play after his 2 TD, one in the most tilting way possible performance the other week, last Tuesday. And then Dusty Zach Ertz in a match. It just doesn't feel right against Baltimore. It feels like he's gonna get smashed as soon as he catches a ball, and probably break his back in this game. Evan Ingram. I mean, this is a tough week against Washington. Gesicki, Austin Hooper, Eric Ebron, and then why not go all the way down to Irv Smith Jr. For 2,500, who got 5 targets, 4 receptions for 64 yards against the Seahawks, and hope he's utilized more with Dalvin Cook being out. I don't know. And TJ Hawkinson. The guy who's probably the best play now with Mo Alley Cox out is Trey Burton.
yes,
that is what I'm going to end up gravitating towards, I think. Basically, he's, first of all, he's just a check down, weapon for Phillip Rivers, who's checked down Charlie. He's second on the team in target share over the last 2 weeks. And now, with Mo Alley Cox down, it's just should be all systems go. Jack Doyle is just like
that's the key right there, though, because Mo Alley Cox is like their red zone guy, right? So is it going to be Burton or Doyle in that role, or they'll probably run 2 tight end sets regardless?
Yeah, they do run. They totally run 2 tight end sets. So it's, I don't know, that the target share makes it pretty evident to me that Trey Burton, guy. I've always kind of liked Trey Burton, and I always didn't understand why he wasn't as good as we hoped for.
So that was a backup.
Yeah, but maybe this is his moment to shine here. But he's 3,100. But so those, I'm gravitating towards those cheap plays, just because it's so gross this week.
Yeah, I think Jonnu Smith is really bad chalk. It seems like a tight end chalk this week. I'd want to stay away from Jonnu on a shorter week here. So I'm easily getting off of that. Most of my tight end love will probably be in game stack formats. TJ Hawkinson makes a lot of sense, but I think Irv Smith to me is where I'm siding the most, just going dirt cheap outside of game stacks. So I like his athleticism. We've seen how bad Atlanta's overall defense has been, and then the Packers tight end Big Bob Tanyan lit him up for 3 touchdowns. So that's kind of recent in my head here. So Irv Smith just seems like a easy play for Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm on him. I like your call on Trey Burton. Kirkwood, I do think that's a good one. You could run him as a secondary stack with AJ Green. You pick them both up for $7,000 combined, right? Use that as a way to get extremely unique, or go back to Mixon if you want to get off the AJ Green conversation here and get to a real player in Mixon. I think that's a fine play, and have Burton on the other side. So I do like that one. I like your, Irv Smith. I think it's one of those ones, Brett, where we're going to go throughout the week, and I didn't look yet. What's his ownership showing at right now?
Let's see. On RG, we got him at 8.2.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's high for a guy that's 2,500. Not really the overall that I give a shit, like what Kirkwood was saying earlier. But my point is, to his point earlier, was that we're going to get to these ownership positions later in the week, where these guys just keep climbing up a little bit. He could be 10, 11, 12, something like that. It's just whatever. I'm on him still no matter what. I'm just saying I just don't feel like it's like the sneaky cheap guy. Use him in cash games if you want to fit everybody and jam everyone in. But I like those two. I like Hawkinson the most in this sort of mid 5K range. I think he's the most interesting because like the Kenny Golladay chalk, the ability to put him with a guy like Marvin Jones to be a little bit unique that way, but still have some of that passing game, and then run back with Robinson on the other side. We talked about that little game stack there earlier. And then also Mark Andrews, who we already talked about, just can break the slate at this position because of, the pricing, and no one else is in this realm. And all these other guys we just mentioned could all bust, and Andrews could have 2 touchdowns and a big yardage game with 8-9 catches. And yeah, he could sit the whole fourth quarter, but he already did all the damage in the first 3. So other than that, here's another one, last one for me. And I don't know, maybe I'm stacking this game, but any love for Jimmy Graham? I know the price is sort of in a dead man zone, but last couple of weeks, 10, 5 targets, 3 touchdowns, red zone, end zone work. It's all there for him. And even with Foles last week was 3 for 5 and 33 and a touchdown. So any thoughts on Jimmy Graham at 5K straight in this game?
I can't do it. Like, he's just too dusty for 5K. Jimmy Graham, like I get it. Like, he's been a beast in the red zone, right? So
it's him or Bob Tonyan, right? What do you do? Go back to, it's like,
you need to get a
Bob
touchdown
Tonyan and Chase Claypool in your lineup and just run back the guys that somehow got 3 and 4 touchdowns that most people in the world have never heard of.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm going to be in the mid tier really at all. I think I'm paying up for Mark Andrews or punting. I do like the Trey Burton call now. But yeah, like, I don't know. I just see myself going to Irv Smith. There is a few guys that I don't mind having a little bit of ownership. Like, I want to have some Tampa Bay tight end exposure. I'm leaning towards Cameron Brate in that game more than anything. And then, like, with Deontay Johnson out, I just think, like, Eric Ebron might have a little bit more of Eric Ebron with
Austin Hooper's coming off 2 games with 7 targets 2 weeks ago and 10 targets last week. Found the end zone 2 weeks ago and against Dallas. But, like, that was a tough matchup against the Colts. 10 targets, 5 receptions, 57 yards.
He's pretty cheap too, actually.
Cheap, yeah. Like, in I keep gravitating towards the cheap range, and I think Hooper, like, is starting now that if I look into it, could make a lot of sense here.
Man, Baker's looks so bad. I think my dislike for a lot of these Cleveland guys is because of how bad Baker's looked in general.
And then Odell, he may not play, right?
Yeah, he's sick. He went
because but they have to be treated like any sickness is treated like a COVID sickness for like amount of days they have to stay out.
He went home on Thursday. I think he's good to go though.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Play whoever you want at tight end. All right, is that is that it?
No, that's where you're doing another Blender pod here now.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was on with Blender. All right, favorite stack, and then we out. I'm gonna go with a chalky stack, and I'm gonna say that Will Fuller with Deshaun Watson.
That's not chalky.
It's gonna be chalky. I mean, it's because listen to the bring back AJ Brown. You're gonna get a lot of those projected. Like, those lineups are gonna come.
The Titan side is going to be really chalky.
Any optimizer is going to give that. Mm-hmm. But they'll probably give Cooks more, to be honest. But, like, so just give me Watson to Fuller and run it back with a chalky A.J. Brown, who's just way too cheap. or no, I mean you could go Derrick Henry, but I just want like that receiving game I just want the game to pop off, for like both passing games are going. So I would choose AJ Brown. And I don't know, like the idea of like Gardner Minshew kind of excites me, but I think it's just easier to do Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay. Like I just want like this massive upside out of my wide receiver. And so I think like Will Fuller and Kenny Golladay like provide that. So those are my two stacks. Who would I run it back with on Jacksonville? Well, that's easy. I already touted him. It's going to be James Robinson, even though I just said that I want like the passing games going off this game. I want James Robinson going off, also getting worked in the passing game, but Golladay and Stafford going crazy. Who do you guys like?
Yeah, I mean, in that same game, I would go with the Stafford route to Marvin Jones, just to get a little bit lower own. And then James Robinson also, I'm more on him, bringing it back. Lower own guys, I'd go Cam to Damiere Byrd, and then bring it back with Philip Lindsay for a really, really cheap way to stack a game. And then you can throw in some studs like Devontae Adams, who should be a little bit lower on.
Yeah, Cam's winning it all this week.
Oh, throwing Damiere Byrd. Always throwing Damiere Byrd.
Always.
Sorry, Tam.
Always got to get Damiere Byrd. No, it's funny. I'm with you on the Stafford one. Excites me a little more when you're going up top with these, $5,900 guys. Fitzpatrick and Tannehill are there, but I really do like Stafford more. So, but I like him with Jones off Golladay and with Hawkinson, and then you can run it back with either or both of Robinson, your call, or my boy LaVisca there, Chenault. You get him in there and get that stack rolling out. I don't mind that. And then, I don't know, I'm going to just do it because I may as well have it on here and I've talked enough about it. But, man, I don't want to play Foles. I just think something in the Chicago-Carolina game, I don't know how else you could do it. I guess we're not touting secondary stacks on here, but I really do like something about that game to pop off. Obviously, Lamar, Fulgham, and Andrews, I said earlier. I'll play those three together and do it that way. It's enough to have Lamar. You don't need to double stack them. You could obviously run them naked as well. I just think set the lineups up a little bit differently. And I guess the final bonus stack would be the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, get a little bit different going that way, and then pick your guy on Tampa Bay side, right? If you want to go Evans or if you want to go Godwin, Ronald Jones, you mentioned earlier, there's options there. So that's where I'm at.
All right. I like it all. So I want to end this show with a real important topic here. A close friend now named in the DFS community he goes by It's Pat. You ever seen that guy in tournaments? It's Pat. AH.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. He's a crusher. We're in a Discord group. We chat a lot about strategy and whatnot. I mean, the guy has been the most instrumental to my DFS success out of anybody I could ever think. Anyways, the funny story is that he's been banned from RG chat and banned from the Discord and banned because he was kind of a loudmouth back in the day. Like he was a troll.
Pat? Is that also Fat
yeah,
Pat?
yeah. Fat. So I was listening to the OG podcast with Chop, who he called out for wanting them to get him back in chat with the free Fat Pat tag. And Beers didn't even know who he was. So that was like a slap in the face to Pat. But anyways, what I want people to do is if anyone listening to the show likes our content, to just throw RG a message on Twitter, the RG message, and just say free it's Pat, hits Pat. You could pronounce, that's how Chop pronounced it. Free him, let him back into RG. He's a changed man. Funny,
is he part of the Corona Poker Club?
I was the reason he got banned. I sent an email. He was already in trouble various times, but I sent an email saying I just can't take this troll anymore. You got to get rid of him. And so they banned him, but we can't get him back in. Yeah, he was back in the day. But I met him. Cal met him at a live final. And when like you fight somebody in high school and then like become like best friends later on in life. It's kind of like one of those. Although we're not best friends, but it's
just
a
story.
Yeah, it's so please, people, RG, anyone, higher ups, get this man back on RotoGrinders. Allow this man to be part of the community. He's got a lot to teach people. He's a top-notch player. Anyway, that's it. This is the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast, and we'll catch you again next week.
See you guys.